Hey guys, welcome to the Make School Summer Academy Alumni panel, first ever. Um, what we're going to do starting off is have all of our great alumni introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Eliel Gordon.
I'm Lou Solomon.
I'm Justin Matsunev.
I'm Sarah Sudana.
I'm Gautam Mittal.
And why don't you guys tell us a little bit about maybe first how you heard about Make School and the Summer Academy.
Back then, Make School was under Portable and they had like a Sprite Builder meetup. So I just randomly joined and I found one of the instructors, Benji, and he got me excited about Make School. So I ended up signing up for the Summer Academy last summer. And that's how I discovered Make School.
Hi, when I was finishing college, I knew that I wanted to get into iOS development in some fashion, and so one of the first things I decided to do was build an iOS game. And in order to build a game, I said, why don't I clone a really simple game? So I looked at how to clone Flappy Bird on Google, and the Make School tutorial for how to clone Flappy Bird was one of the first ones that I went through. So then I found out that they were running a summer program that I could go through, and I went through it, and then eventually was invited to come out to California for the first iteration of the Product Academy.
Very cool. Okay, I'm going to have Gautam explain a little bit.
All right, so I first learned about Make School back in 2012. Ashu Desai, who's one of the co-founders of Make School, he actually interned for my dad the summer before I joined. And Make School back then was called Make Games With Us. It was in its really early stages. And he was looking for people to beta test his program. And so I pinged him an email because I'd heard about it and it sounded really cool. And I'd done some basic iOS development with like Cordova, so hybrid technologies, not really native stuff. And I joined, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, that's sort of how I found about it. Basically, Ashu interned for my dad. It's cool.
Sorry, guys. Looks like we lost me for a second.
Uh,
I think it might be that our internet might have been an issue because I don't see Elio or Luke, and they're both in the building as well. So, sorry Gautam. Why don't you continue?
So, like I was saying, I found out about Make School through Ashu Desai, who is one of the co-founders. He interned for my dad, and I found out through my dad about Make School. And yeah, pretty much that's how I found out about it. It was interesting. Seemed like a really cool opportunity at the time, and it was.
Okay, awesome. Justin, why don't you go?
Yeah, so I first kind of got an interest in coding back in 10th grade, just like HTML stuff, and I competed in a web design course competition for FBLA. And after the program, after the competition, we didn't really win, but I found it to be really fun and enjoyable. So I wanted to get into something else. Games is always fun, and I really enjoyed playing games. I decided, hey, why not make them? So I just went on Google, looked up how to make iPhone games, and one of the first links that popped up was Make Games With Us. So I went and checked them out, I went ahead and I applied. I interviewed with Jeremy, co-founder, and I got accepted. Then I told one of my really good friends about it, and he applied. He got accepted as well. Um, and it took a lot of convincing from my parents, but then the next thing I knew, after I ended school, I was on my way to Palo Alto to learn how to make games.
Just so you guys know, I was an RA for Justin in 2014, his first year at the Summer Academy. It was quite an awesome summer, and Justin built an awesome game. So, Sarah, why don't you tell us about your story, how you found Make School and the Summer Academy?
I actually first heard about Make School at the Teen Hackathon that I think you guys were sponsoring, and it sounded really interesting. I got to talk to Jeremy, and I thought I want to learn more about it. So I kind of researched it. It looked really cool. So I applied and I got in. And since it was pretty local for me, I was excited that it was like a program I could go to every day. And so yeah, and it was an awesome experience. I'm really glad I went.
Very cool. So I kind of want to transition to the start of the Summer Academy. I know like all of our students are always a little bit nervous, not sure what to expect. So why don't you tell us what your first day was like? What were your initial impressions, and what kind of crazy things do we make you do?
So I mean, when I came to the Summer Academy, I thought it was just going to be all, coding and development, but I was surprised to find out that there were other, extra technical activities that sort of help you think of ideas or come up with ideas, or even think of your idea in a different, from a different perspective. That's something I wasn't really expecting. I just thought we were just going to code all the time, but there are other activities that that get you, really excited about what you're developing, a game or an idea, a game or an app that you're developing. So yeah, I really like that, part, that part of the Summer Academy where we got to, there were activities that helped us sort of communicate better and get to know each other a little bit, a lot more than just like sitting down behind desks.
I think that for me, the thing that I wasn't expecting but enjoyed the most was a lot of talks delivered by Ashu and Jeremy that delved into startup culture and what to expect at jobs. And that was something I had never really been exposed to. Both my parents had only ever worked in the corporate world, and I had only ever interned at large corporations, so I had no idea what a company that consisted of 8 to 10 people would ever be like. So just getting to understand that there was an entirely different work culture was pretty eye-opening. And the other thing that I wasn't expecting but really enjoyed was a lot of what Eliel said, where we would, especially in the games course, we would play physical games that would get you to think about just games in general, not just video games, and sort of understand the theory behind what makes a game fun. And that was really good for people. And I know that when you're going through the apps track, you'll have to do a lot of those too, but I know that game mechanics are something that are starting to be incorporated even into apps these days, like Snapchat and Tinder and I think Swarm all use gamification to try and keep their users engaged. So all of that stuff is incredibly good to learn.
All right, so my first day was pretty interesting because everyone was a lot older than I was. I did the summer academy when I was in middle school, so in 7th and 8th grade, and it was interesting. So the first day I came in and found that everyone was like 5 to 10 years older than I was, and I was pretty shy at first, and then over time I realized that the people working around me were they were like a really important resource when building my game and sort of figuring my way around things. And that's like one of the biggest takeaways that I got out of Make School, which was learning to really work in a small community and team of developers. Because prior to Make School, I'd done a lot of stuff like on my own, and that was fun. But I realized that there was a lot of like potential and fun in building with other people. So the community aspect is like still sticks with me today. I really enjoy hackathons and stuff like that. And there's a lot you can learn from the people sitting around you, even if you're not talking about games, just like in general development life. I'm still good friends with most of those people. Many of them are graduating today. It's interesting to see where they all are.
Yeah, so with my first day, or at least first week, it was a lot of like, well, for both summer academies, there was a lot of team building things. So you met a lot of new people. Again, I was with one of my good friends, so it was good to kind of get away, and join other groups and meet other people. And I think that was one of the strongest things that I really liked about Make School. A lot of people I met, I still keep in touch with, and it's really great to hear their stories and where they come from and their background.
So I was surprised at how much non-coding stuff went into coding. I expected to learn how to build iOS apps, but I think I more expected to learn how to just code in Swift. And it was really interesting that the Make School Summer Academy taught me like how to think about my app, like how to design it, how to make sure users are engaged. And they didn't do that through like presentations; they did that through games, which was awesome because I got to like, get off the computer for a while and like make build relationships with other people in the summer academy. And I was excited about that. So yeah, that's how my first day went.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys all have great, great, unique stories. So kind of, I want to dive into the Summer Academy, and I'd like all of you to explain what your app or your game was, just so our listeners get an idea of kind of the broad range of what these ideas could be and what they look like. So let's start with Elio and Luke.
Awesome. So in the summer, I built an app called Salus. It was a platform where you could find and book an appointment with a health and wellness specialist in your area, be it a massage therapist or a personal trainer, or anyone in that kind of small business space. Initially, I was only targeting personal trainers, but and I came into Make School with the idea of building that product. But I think over time, it sort of changed, or I think I came in with a more limited sense of what the product could be, and I found out that it could be a little bit more general. And the instructors were really, really helpful with that, and even the students around, because they would kind of like just poke holes in all the areas in the product that didn't make sense. Because sometimes it's very hard for you to see some of the flaws in your ideas or things you didn't think about and thought they were easy, or thought you could just easily incorporate it. But the students around you kind of help build that idea into something a lot more solid, something you can actually be confident in telling people about that you built.
So I actually have my game still on my phone that I made. It's called Push Push. You can see it here. It's a two-player tug of war that I made. This was back when we were still using Cocos 2D and Objective-C. And it's like a two-player tug of war kind of game, and it was really fun. The big thing that you need to do when you're building the first iteration of an app or a game is have people play test it. And if you're just building a game alone or an app, you don't get that kind of feedback. You can't just put it in someone else's hands. And for me, when I was testing things that I was programming, I would just show them to my parents, and after a while, they get sick of seeing it. But when you're in Make School, you've got so many people around you that almost every day you can show your app or game to someone, and it'll be like they're seeing it for the first time. And they can give you a lot of really, really positive feedback. But this was a really good game for someone who was a beginner to a lot of the concepts, just dealing with iOS in general. So start small. That's my advice if you're getting into the program. Don't try and make World of Warcraft for the iPhone because you will not be successful.
So just building off of Luke's last statement, just go simple. That's pretty much the route I took. So I built sort of like a clone of a game that I'd seen. It was inspired. It wasn't exactly a clone. But I'd seen this cool, really simple game called Gyro in the App Store. It's basically, yeah, I don't have it on my phone right here because I switched phones in the last few years. But basically the game idea was you had a little circle in the middle of the screen and it was split up into different colored sectors, and flying objects from around the screen would basically come towards this circle and you had to match it. It's kind of hard to visualize, but if you want, you can look up the game. It's called Blend. That's the game I built, and that was similar to what I built. It was really simple, but it had a lot of like places it could go. That's the thing I really liked. I could build on it and add a lot of features, but I started with a very simple idea. So like Luke said, don't try and build World of Warcraft. That's definitely not the route to go. Personally, when I came to the summer academy, I wasn't super experienced. I didn't have a lot of programming background or knowledge. I'd sort of been just like messing around with like scripts and whatnot. So this was definitely a great experience for like learning and going simple. Yeah, go simple.
Yeah, so my first time at the summer academies, the summer of 2014, they just had games. So what I created was a simple game, pretty much. I can show you guys. And back then, I had, wow, because it's white, it's gonna be hard. So there's barriers, and the simple objective is just shoot and get it through the thing without hitting them. They get faster, and the whole point is just to get a high score. But what started out, I had a idea, and I went along with it. My friends were telling me that, hey, it might not work, it's a little too complicated, there's no like real endpoint to it. Also, one of the instructors, Ben, was telling me the same thing. Still wasn't listening, so I kept on going with it. I'd say like 2 or 3 weeks in, I realized that I really can't do anything with this, so I kind of just deleted the entire thing. I had this idea for the hackathon, and I decided, hey, I'll just make this for my app. So I sat down, and the entire night I just kind of coded it, and I came out with it. And then I still, actually to this day, update it constantly and try new things with it. And then the summer of 2015, I was part of the Outtrack, and I made something called Wakey. And the whole point of it was, well, let me say where I like got the idea from. So I was going to a hackathon, and I told my friend to be up by like 5 in the morning because the bus was coming. And I got to his house, and he's still sleeping. And he said he made an alarm, but I really don't believe him. So I thought, hey, why don't I make some kind of app that gives us both the alarm at the same time, wakes us up at the same time, and we can see who's up. So the general thing is you go ahead, you create an account, you add your friends into an alarm. Let's say if you guys are going to an event the next day, and you add your friends, it wakes all of you guys up at the same time, and you see now who's checked in and who's ready to go. And then it'll keep giving alarms to the person that's not. So that's my story for two of my apps.
So for my first app, I created like an event app because it was summer, and I was kind of bored, and I was like, I need to find some cool things to do. I was in Make School. Make School was awesome, of course. So I created an app that showed you events in nearby radius that occurred in like the next few hours, so that you could attend them. But one thing that I realized when I was at Make School was that they encourage you to explore like all avenues and all ideas. So I ended up creating a couple more apps that were pretty simple, just like an idea generator and like a little like whack-a-mole game. But I think I'm pretty proud of what I accomplished that summer. And yeah, they're all fun.
That's cool. I definitely need to download all of your games and play them. So I kind of would like you guys to explain what the process going from like having your idea to like creation, and how did the instructors shape that, just so that our listeners get an idea of exactly what it takes to go from oh, I have a thought in my head, to this is something that I'm actually coding.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the instructors were very helpful from day one, because at the beginning there were a series of exercises that we went through to sort of discover, if you haven't come up with an idea yet, just to discover what, you know, what ideas you could work on, or things that were around you you could develop software to help or help improve. And the instructors are really helpful in, you know, kind of guiding you to discover potential ideas that were worth investing, you know, the whole summer developing an app or a game for. Personally, I had help from all the instructors, and they kind of also helped me, you know, validate some of the ideas that I had, because sometimes they're a little bit grandeur, and I didn't know exactly what went into it, and they kind of sort of helped me scale it down to a realistic, a realistic product. There were also things that I think Make School helps you think in terms of product, and sometimes you can't. The ideas you have, you can't just ship the whole thing, or you can't just make the whole thing at one go. But you sort of have to break it down and sort of validate that idea, or ship a simple iteration of it, and just to discover what your users will be interested in before, you know, building it full scale into the product you vision it to be. And the instructors are very good at sort of helping me build the minimum viable product needed for my app before trying to spend all that time trying to build a full robust product that people wouldn't even use. I think that was really helpful, and there are lessons I actually use to this day to develop for the company I work for, and, you know, the startup that I'm building right now. It's been really helpful. Yeah.
So there's a really famous thing that's all over the walls of Facebook. That's it's a quote that says, "Done is better than perfect," and it's sort of like part of the hacker mentality that, you know, you could have the best product in the world, but if no one gets their hands on it, then it's worthless. So that definitely gets pushed into your head when you're in Make School. And honestly, my game, when I made it, when I came into Make School, I was under the impression that I would have enough time and skill to make a rhythm-based game with all sorts of crazy art assets, and it was more of a project that would have been suited for a senior developer who had about a year of free time to work on, and the instructors were very good at helping me scale that down. And I was actually an instructor in the Summer Academy last summer and had to help a lot of students scale down their insane ideas for what they wanted to create. And I can say that it's not an easy thing to do, to tell someone that their ideas are unrealistic for the time that they're given, but it's definitely something that you need to learn, especially when you do get a job as a developer, because now when I work as a dev and I can tell people I'll have that done by tomorrow, or this is going to take me 2 weeks, those time estimates are pretty accurate, and they're very important. So I think that it's very important to have it just be in your head from day one, because you need to know that you probably will have an actual goal that you can achieve, because there's nothing worse than saying, I'm going to do something fantastic, and then just fall flat. It's so much better to have a realistic goal and then achieve it, and then even surpass that goal and have a very polished product to give to people.
All right, so the first summer that I was at the Summer Academy, I started out with not really a very concrete idea. I was just like, I'm going to code something cool. And what I did is I took one of the templates and sort of messed around with that. But what I ended up having and learning in the end was that you need to have an idea before you do any of this stuff. Like, code is cool, but I think in my case it was sort of like an immature excitedness for wanting to code in a startup environment, which is always cool. But that first summer, I didn't really build much. I built an app, but it wasn't very useful. It was called Bison Run. You guys may probably will never see it because the code also got deleted entirely because I never backed anything up. So that first summer, I learned a lot of things that you should not do. Uh, First is always back up your code. Don't ever forget that. Commit early, commit often, and have an idea. Know what you're gonna do. So that second summer that I came, things really changed. I ignored the backing up code thing again, which was not good, but I had an idea this time, and like I said, it was a simple idea, cloning or pursuing an idea that had been done, but I was going to do it better. And this time was really more straightforward. And in fact, in the first week of my second year at the Summer Academy in 2013, I'd written more code, and there was more of a concrete idea within the app than I'd written in an entire summer before. So it goes to show that like if I had spent that much time thinking about maybe the idea and the process a little more, I could have put my time to better use. And that was definitely the case in 2013. I felt like features were getting added really, really well. And I feel like the instructors played a big part in sort of guiding me that second summer. Definitely. So the first summer, I didn't really have like a ground to sit on or stand on for my app because it was sort of like this abstract game where there were all sorts of random mechanics and stuff like that no one knew what happened. The second summer, I built something the first week. It was pretty solid. It worked okay. It was a good foundation. And then from there, I would constantly talk with the instructors, ask for feedback. I'd talk with the people sitting around me. And it was really good because basically I could go from start to finish in small chunks, and the instructors could like give me feedback saying, oh yeah, this is totally realistic, you can do this. This might take an entire year to do, so don't do it. And it was very, very helpful. So yeah, commit early, commit often, have simple ideas, and don't start coding prematurely.
Yeah, so piggybacking on what they have all said, definitely get your idea down and don't make it too complicated. My first couple weeks, I had this like crazy idea, and that didn't really work out. So I thought of something else, but I wasn't really like confident that I thought I could finish it. I didn't really know where it would end up, and that's the one thing you kind of need to know where your game like goes to. You can't just kind of go along with the flow. You need to have everything kind of laid out, and I learned that mistake when I again had to switch my app like 2 weeks in and make a completely different one. Definitely know what you're doing and take criticism from your peers and instructors because they're only trying to help you. So if they tell you that this doesn't look right or something's not going or this isn't fun, definitely take that into account and change it up because the worst thing you can have, because they're your best players, all right? So they know what your game needs. Yeah.
I think what's cool at Make School is that instead of like giving you, it's not like a traditional education system where you memorize a bunch of stuff. It's like a watermark on like how you mold your thoughts. So when you first have an idea, that's awesome. First of all, congrats on having an idea, because that's kind of hard to come up with sometimes. And then you learn to really like part down, and you go through this whole process before you even start touching your code. So there's like paper prototyping. There's like figuring out the features. Talking through with instructors, which is very helpful because you can bounce your ideas off someone and figure out if it's a good idea or if it's not the best idea to put off to later. And having also one thing that I really noticed helped when developing an app. I didn't exactly do this for my first summer academy, but I've done this afterwards. Is having a timeline for your app that's really set, getting that you have a timeline. And I think it's really important to stick to that timeline and to make it really go over it with your instructor, because when you start deviating from it, a lot of features get left behind and your app will end up not where you want it and maybe not even usable. So that's something I learned that was really important at the academy.
Cool. So I'm kind of gonna free for all, and I want you guys to tell me kind of what technology stack did you get proficient at that you would utilize in your app or your game that was kind of outside of just like iOS?
Can you repeat the question a little bit, or was kind of the line was kind of shaky?
Sorry, yeah. What kind of technology stacks did you get proficient at?
Okay. So I started with the abstract. Swift, had been out for a while, so that's what we coded in. I used Swift. Parse was very popular at that time too, so I kind of learned that and picked that up and used that as my backend as well. I actually learned a little bit of JavaScript as well because I sort of needed needed it for some of the features on my app, so I picked that up as well, even though Make School didn't really teach JavaScript during the summer academy, but they were willing to help students out with whatever they needed to bring the idea to life. So just because you're building an iOS app, you might have other dependencies that require you to learn other technologies and languages. The instructors are really helpful, and they'll help you. They'll help you whichever way they can to make your product come to life at the end of demo day.
Personally, I learned Ruby on Rails, and I also, with some other students that I was living with, we taught ourselves Python. We were trying to get jobs at companies, so we knew we were going to have to go through technical interview questions, which none of us had ever seen before. So at our house, we had whiteboards everywhere, and most nights would consist of someone sits in a chair and gives you a programming question, and you have to answer it on the whiteboard in Python, and then we would try and run it through a compiler afterwards to see how well you did. And that was just the kind of thing that I expected from Make School at the end of the day. Was you don't stop coding at 5, you just keep going, and the amount of stuff that you learn is endless. And fortunately, none of the instructors are single discipline. So if you ask an instructor with a Python question, they probably know Python. If you ask them a JavaScript question, they probably know JavaScript. Each of them probably knows some form of a web stack. If you want to ask a question to Shannon, she can describe how things work all the way down to how the electrons move through your motherboard. Yeah, the amount of knowledge you can soak out of the instructors is insane.
Yeah, so prior to the summer academy, I was pretty proficient with most front-end web stuff, so I had a pretty strong JavaScript background, and I'd done some other stuff on the side like Python. And that summer, the summer 2012, I really learned Objective-C, and I'd never experienced anything like that. Like, I'd only done JavaScript, which, for those of you who have used it, you probably know it's a pretty relaxed layout and setup. So it was sort of my first really dive into object-oriented programming. And the main thing I learned that summer is that it doesn't matter whether you know what you're doing or not. It's more of do you know how to get back on your feet and figure out what you're doing. And that sort of stuck with me. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways, that being able to pick something up without knowing a lot about it. There's a lot of resources on the internet. We're no longer in the days of O'Reilly 1,000-page books on definitive JavaScript and whatnot. There are a lot of great resources nowadays, and that's definitely stuck with me. So after Make School, I picked up a lot of other things, such as backend web, so Node.js, Flask. I learned Swift, and then most recently I've been diving into the things that I definitely know nothing about, which is what makes them so fun. So things with machine learning, and I definitely don't know anything about it, but the fact is there's a great joy in the process of learning new things that you don't know about. And that's definitely helped me a lot with learning new stacks. Um, if there's one piece of advice I have for any newcomers, that is, do not limit yourself to one thing. I mean, yes, when you're applying for jobs, you definitely want to be um, pretty focused on one thing. But when you're learning these technologies, especially if you've never done anything with iOS, I would say be bold. Go for things you haven't tried before. Mess around with Xcode, Swift. Maybe even try a language you've never tried, like you've never experimented with before. Um, Definitely, that's what I would recommend. Don't limit yourself.
Yeah, so I learned coming to May school, besides obviously learning Swift and the summer before Objective-C, my app required um, some JavaScript. So the coolest thing was I kind of got away from the instructors and I learned from one of my peers, and he taught me a little bit about JavaScript and took me through the entire course of it, so I can apply it to my app, which needed to use notifications and with parse. So it was really cool learning from him, and then coming out of the academy, knowing all the logic, knowing everything I needed to do. I took my AP computer science course in my school, and I kind of just blew through it. It was a lot easier. So yeah, definitely learn from your peers.
Okay, so I did learn after make school. I've been learning some more languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for web development. And I think that make school has really prepared me to like learn on my own. But one super important thing, or two, I guess, that I learned in make school was were first of all stack how to stack overflow stuff. So I had no idea that there was this huge resource out there where I could like look stuff up, look up programming questions, and I think that has really contributed to me learning several things about programming, like algorithms. There's even chunks of code you can copy and paste from, and also APIs. I didn't know anything about how to use any APIs before I came to Make School. In fact, at Make School, I spent like 3 days trying to understand what APIs were, and then an instructor noticed I was like completely floundering with my project, and he kind of saved me. And that's really gone a long way. I've done because you use APIs in different types of apps for different things, and you can use them in many times in hackathons because a lot of prizes are based on APIs. I think those were two really important takeaways, like from Make School, that helped me develop my skills afterwards and develop my projects even better. And then also how to teach myself anything basically was something I learned from Make School, like how to use the internet as a resource, how to use other people as resources. Because I think I was really like, I thought learning was all about like focusing on yourself, and it's not. It's more of a community thing. It's like connecting with the community, connecting with everything that you can find, and using that to help yourself grow and to help others grow as well, like at the same time.
Definitely awesome advice, all of you guys. So I kind of want to talk about demo day because that's going to be for our listeners or admits that's going to be kind of their culmination of what they create. And I want you to describe for them what that experience is like to have a fully fledged app and to show all of these people what you've created. What's the feeling there?
Yeah, it was definitely was an amazing experience. I've never had like an environment where people were willing to sort of try out or play with whatever I'd created for over 2 months, and it was a very heartwarming and very exciting experience to like see people were in the same environment and excited about things that we were building, and just also seeing other students' projects because at the beginning you get to see the skeleton of each individual product, but since you're focused on building your own product, you don't really get to see the process or the development of other people's ideas and products till demo day, and then you you go around and you look at some of your students, some of your mates' work, and it's just astonishing how different they are and what they evolved to be. Yeah, it was very exciting, and I mean, I'm in the product academy now, and I have a few of them, and I'm always excited when I have a chance to tell people about what I've been building.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I definitely uh, found it to be like a lot of fun because you get to see everyone's apps, and also it's sort of like a personal reflection. Like you go in having nothing, like no app whatsoever, and you come up with this thing which, uh, despite what the result or outcome might be, you're still really proud of it, and you're like, wow, I built this. This is really cool, and people are using it. Um, because it's one thing when you publish an app on the App Store, you don't really see how people are interacting with it. But it's another thing when you meet with people face to face and show them your final app. It's definitely a really fulfilling experience and quite satisfying when someone picks up your app and says, "Oh, this is cool," or they find something that breaks, in which case you're like, "Oh, that's also cool." Um, it's definitely a great time to reflect. Yeah, no matter what happens or how finished your app is, it's great.
Yeah, so Demo Day was a really fun time. I highly encourage that you. I mean, I know it's required, but I know the first summer I actually wasn't able to attend it, and I definitely missed out because the second summer, it was a great day. A lot of people came, and you just got to show off your app or game to whoever. And I still remember one of the coolest things was someone came up to me and he was testing out my app. He really liked it, and I assume he was with his wife. And he kind of just like put down the iPad and he said, "I'll give you $500 for it right now." And I was just like, "No, thank you." And I don't know why I said no. I mean, I guess because I thought maybe it had more value, or because I kind of wanted to keep going with it. Um, but I just thought that like someone thought it was that neat that they would give me some money for it. Um, but yeah, it was,
Yeah, is that on the App Store right now, Justin?
uh, no. So funny story. I had to take it down because after I got home from the summer academy, I gave myself a concussion, and after that happened, um, I discovered a huge bug in the app, and I wasn't allowed to use computers or any technology, and there was like 50 users already without me telling anyone, and I had to kind of shut it down so people wouldn't like break the app and never, not be able to use it. And then from there, I haven't been able to kind of get back at it because of this bug.
It sounds like you need to rework on that.
Yeah. I I still am, but the main difference is now I'm switching over to Firebase because Parse is shutting down. So it's gonna take a lot longer.
I think it's a really like it's kind of an intense experience. There's definitely a lot of excitement to see everyone coming through and like using each other's apps, and to see like strangers also looking at everyone's apps. I think it's really exciting to show off like what you've accomplished over the summer. And like for me, I felt like, wow, I actually did something this summer, and I didn't stay at home. I was super excited about that. And it's also like I think it's also it kind of like it's an encouragement. So when you have an app, to like see other people use it, it makes you more excited about coding and more excited about creating more apps or working on your own app. So that was the demo day for me.
Very cool. And I've been to many of these now, and there's just this incredible thrill in the air, and it's awesome always to see what people have created. So yeah, kudos to you guys. It's yeah, your apps are always something that bring me joy to play with. So okay, so now I kind of want to in this last segment transition to what you guys are doing now. Because one of the things is that our alumni have great, places that they're working at now and projects that they're working on, and we always love to keep tabs on that. So I kind of want to hear from you guys. What are the things that you're working on And how did the Summer Academy help you get to where you are right now?
Okay. So I was fortunate enough to be offered admission into the Product Academy right from the Summer Academy last summer. But right before I got, right before we started the Product Academy, sometime last September, I actually had like a part-time job working as an iOS developer for a startup. And it was all through Make School. It's because I had an app out there. I had that credibility. I could build something. So it was quite easy for me to get a job, actually. Um, and yeah, I did that for a while. And then in February, I had a full-time position as actually a senior developer. I not only, build the iOS app, but I'm in charge of the whole development of the product of a company that actually makes a lot of money now. So that's been really exciting. I couldn't have done it without Make School and all the awesome instructors, staff helping me in technical and non-technical ways, because there's a lot that goes into getting a job, like negotiating and interviews, and you're never really going to get that kind of help anywhere else. But it's exciting as well because I actually starting a startup with my friend Ryan here at Make School as well. We actually got incorporated, post-incorporated like today, and we opened a company account and everything. So that's really exciting too. We're going to be running a company now. So there's just all sorts of things that it could turn into just a simple friendship. And I met Ryan from the Summer Academy, actually. So we both started from the Summer Academy and went into the 2-year program. So there's all sorts of relationships you get to build from the Summer Academy. I wouldn't take them lightly. There are a lot of friendships that will come in handy in the future, and you should just be open and friendly to everyone, because you never know what will happen in the future.
Well, congrats on getting incorporated. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gautam, why don't you tell us what you're working on?
So I'm in high school, so I don't really have a job right now. But over the past few summers, I've been doing some contract, and I interned for Edmodo for one summer, writing front-end web work. So it wasn't iOS, but the mentality was similar. And I would say that definitely the stuff I learned at Make School helped me a lot to get to like those contract gigs and the internships and stuff like that. Because it's one thing to say that you know how to do something and like to have a resume, but it's a whole different thing to show that you have an app on the App Store. Proving that you can build and ship something on your own is definitely a very valuable thing to show. And it definitely helped me a lot. And like I said earlier, the mentality of picking up new skills, moving quickly, definitely was something that stood out when applying to internships and stuff like that. Right now, I'm doing a lot of research and attending a lot of hackathons. So I guess you can almost call that a job, but not really. It's mostly just a lot of coding. And most recently, the most recent hackathon I went to was PenApps in the fall, so I haven't been to a hackathon in a little while because of school and stuff like that. I'm actually wearing the shirt from PenApps that year. And basically, that hackathon was a big turning point, I would say, in sort of the set of hackathons I went to. If you guys don't know what a hackathon is, it's like a 24-hour to 36-hour coding competition in a way, and you learn a lot, and it's really awesome. There we decided to take on a really ambitious idea. So we legit did everything we told you not to do for the Summer Academy. But we did it anyways, and it was interesting. Basically, we decided we wanted to make an app which you took a picture of any food and it told you the calories in it. And everyone we talked to said that you couldn't do this. But like the mentalities that we learned at Make School is like, oh yeah, we can learn this stuff to get this done. We'll figure a way out of this. And we ended up actually building something that worked, and actually got us top 10 at the hackathon. Um, so I would say that and of course, all these hackathons are now application based, so they have to see that you know how to code and you've built something beforehand. So I would say like all of these connections and these apps that we've shipped before helped my team get to the hackathon, and eventually the skill set that we learned helped us a lot. Um, yeah, and then last summer, I would say that the Make School experience really helped me in terms of getting the Worldwide Developer Conference scholarship. I received that last year as a student, and it was really awesome. I would say that again, it's mostly iOS development, so all of that I learned through Make School. And again, nowadays, recruiters and all these people who are reading through your applications, they're looking for things that you've shipped, and again, just shipping an application is so useful for everything. It really shows how credible you are and how much knowledge you know. Yeah.
So after the academy, I quite a few things happened. Nothing like huge, but I decided to go back, and I really enjoy making apps. I really enjoy coding. In my area, that's not a huge thing. People don't do that. So when I came back from the academy, it was like such a big deal that I made an app and all this. So I decided to do kind of like, in a way, give back and like help younger people or younger kids learn how to develop apps. So one of the first things I did was I volunteered. Well, my middle school teacher, I told him about it, and he asked me to come in for the day and teach his class iOS development. So I actually used Make School's tutorial and showed them how to make Flappy Bird, and all of them were really, really excited about it. They were all in 8th grade, so this year coming in, they were 9th graders, freshmen, and they came out to me saying how they love this stuff and they're really getting into it now. Also this year, I was able to start a computer science club at my school, and we had a lot of members. I'd say about 50 to 70 start out. It gradually decreased to 15, but doesn't matter. It's they're still learning. We would meet up once or twice a month and just kind of sit down. I would try to make the tutorials myself and teach them, and I think it kind of worked out. I know two of the students and club members applied to Make School. One of them is actually going to be going in San Francisco for the abstract, so it's really cool. I'm excited. Other things, Make School, my first summer, they introduced me to hackathons, which was the coolest thing ever. My first one was Y-Hack, which was Y Combinators, and showing up there was a crazy experience. Just staying up for 24 hours and building a game with my 2 roommates was incredible. And since then, so for the past year and a half to 2, I have been to 15 already, stretching all the way to Michigan and California, of course. And the countless connections and relationships you make at hackathons is crazy, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them today. And now I'm going to be instructor at Make School this summer, which is really awesome. So from a student to instructor, I'm excited. Intro track, that's SF.
So I think that developing apps really helped me, as the other people have said, in my entire career. And also there's a strong hackathon culture at Make School, I believe. So pretty much if you go to Make School at one point or another, you're probably going to attend a hackathon. So building apps has helped me land an internship at a couple places. Telly Labs, I kickstarted their iOS app. They just had a web portal before, and then my job got given to a team in India, which is a real problem. But it was kind of fun to start the app anyway, to work it out, to figure out how to connect their device, which they created a device to connect it to any iPhone. I also got an internship as a lead iOS developer at Rhine, which is a startup. It's kind of like an Instagram-like app. And then as far as the hackathon culture has gone, I've been to quite a few hackathons. I recently won got second place at Menlo Hacks and got another award there as well for an app about hackathons, actually. Bring people together for carpooling and stuff for hackathons, especially in high school when it's hard to get rides because most people can't drive. And then to build on the hackathon culture, I've actually started my own hackathon this weekend. So it's called Base Hacks. And that was really, for me, it was about giving back to the community, because the community had done so much for me, and I'd learned so much about this. I think also Make School helped me through that as well. I reached out, and they kind of gave me some tips. They weren't able to really sponsor us because I think it was instructor training week, but they gave me tips about how to run the hackathon and what to do to make it a success, which I really appreciate, and I hope it turns out well this weekend. So, yeah.
Well, good luck on the hackathon. That is super exciting. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our alumni end up running hackathons, and it's one of the things that we love, that they're giving back to this culture of creating things. And so, yeah, I think we have like just a few minutes left, and what I want to do is kind of open the floor a little bit. And if you guys have anything that you would like to say, like closing words, now's the time.
Have fun, you guys. It's an entire experience, and like, just enjoy all aspects of it. Don't focus too much on the coding. Just take it all in. Something to remember for like probably the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely make a lot of friends because you really don't know when you'll see them later down the road. You want to have these connections. I still talk to a lot of them. I'm really close with a lot of them from the academy, and it's really great. So don't be afraid to just talk to someone new every day until you meet everyone from your academy.
Make friends, ship fast, and iterate often. Yeah.
Just enjoy yourself. Move fast, break things. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, just really savor the moment. Have a lot of fun this summer, and good luck to all of you.
Okay, and on that note, I also want to tell you guys to just have fun with it. Make something awesome, and be proud of your achievements. And on those closing notes, good night to those of you that are on the East Coast, and good evening to those that are here on the West Coast. And thanks for tuning in. Yeah, bye.